So a week or so ago, I shared this dream about seeing the Hague and all the pieces coming together, the whole pie chart thing. It's here on my page if you need to see it. And someone asked a question that I thought was a really good question because you should be, listen, I am giving y'all too much double chin right now. You really should be skeptical about things, or even not the word skeptical, but inquisitive about things. You should know, you should ask for verification, validation, etc. Those things. So I'm not knocking that question. That question was a great question. Um, so, and I informed them that a lot of my dreams come true. And as much as I know and I remember, this is absolutely true. Well, last night I had another dream. Now, this dream was not about election at all. Okay. I don't know about you other spiritual girlies, those of you who are just now awakening, or those of you who are pretty firmly on your feet with that one. But there has been a lot of spiritual activity. I have seen a lot of the lights. That's how they show up for me. And you might be skeptical about it, and that's fine. I've had my own experiences. It was those lights that saved my life when I had pulmonary embolisms and did not even know it. It was because I saw them I knew to go to the hospital or to call an ambulance. Um, but anyway, so going past that point, I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise here. But going past that point, I've been seeing a lot of activity. I've been seeing a lot of things moving out of the corner of my eye, or whatever. And then I would check, like, okay, was it a glare of a light? Did my hand just suddenly move and I just cut? Like, I'm skeptical, right? I have to figure out what's happening around me. Am I seeing something? So it's healthy. It's a healthy dose of skepticism, because, like, what? Um, Now, that said, I've always had gifts, spiritual gifts, more extra perception than a lot of people tend to allow for themselves, right? And I shut that down a lot myself. So to get to the point of this, last night I had a dream. Um, Wait, let me wrap up that thought real quick. So as I was saying, I don't know if those of you who are either big toe or full feet, or big toe or full footed in the spiritual world, have noticed there's a lot of spiritual activity. It's been amplified. Y'all, there's just a lot I want to share and talk about. Now, let's get to this dream. So last night I had a dream, again, non-election dream. So if you're trying to hear something positive, this is positive, but this ain't about that, okay? So it started again as a dream, and I was not aware that it was a dream. I was in the dream, like I was, dreaming, and like it was just some nonsensical thing, just like a little movie. Think about like a movie you would put on the background, just so that you can have something going on while you're doing work. That's like how this dream was. It was just a dream, and then in this just a dream part, I had a conversation with my uncle. My uncle's alive. So I had a conversation with my uncle, and I asked him, hey, did you take care of that cancer? Because I could then see colon cancer. And it's really interesting. And maybe I'm just using that in my dream, in my, dream self. I'm just using that because colon cancer conversation and colon cancer, like I walked into my clinic like a week or two ago, and they had this inflatable colon. And then on the wall were polyps and stuff. So that could be part of it, like why I zoomed in on colon cancer. But it's the cancer part, though, that was like weird, because see, we got another butterfly visitor. I didn't speak of this with my uncle or anything, right? So in my dream, though, I do. And I'm like, hey, did you take care of the cancer? Blah, blah, blah. But then something weird happened. There's like this little blip that I don't remember the whole dream. And so I know that I'm in my room now and I'm just chilling on my phone. So it actually felt real at this point. This is where it was real in the dream. And because that's what I do. When I'm going to bed, I'm on my phone. I'm playing a bingo game, or I'm playing, some merging game. And I hear the kids go, "Your grandfather is here, your grandfather is here." And so I scramble out of the bed in my dream. I scramble out of the bed and I go to the kitchen where he is, and I just fly at him and put my arms around him because I'm aware that my grandfather is dead, right? And I've had dreams of my grandfather, and he's spoken to me and he's helped me, he's admonished me. He's like, never settle. So I've had dreams of my grandfather after he passed, and they were always some kind of spiritual dream, like he came to visit. And so I flew at my grandfather in this dream, put my arms around him, and then I realized that wasn't my grandfather. That was my uncle, because my uncle is tall and lanky, y'all, like this hill tree. He's tall and lanky, not super tall. He's like 6'2" or 6'1" or something, but he's tall and lanky. And I go, wait, you're not my grandfather. Because I realize I'm hugging this tall and lanky guy. My grandfather was stockier than him. And then he speaks, and I'm like, that's not my grandfather's voice. And I immediately wake up, and then I burst into tears because I wanted to see my grandfather. Especially like with all the spiritual activity that's been going around me, and I've smelled my grandmother's cigarettes like several times over the last week or last couple of months. And so I got up, and then I got this feeling like, go ask your mom, because my mom's home. I live with my parents. It's been a rough 3 years. And so I go in there and I go to my mom and I go, Mom, does Uncle B have cancer? And she stops. She doesn't move for a minute. And then she goes, oh, wow. Me and, I'm going to call her my aunt. They never got married, but she had been with him for decades. And then they broke up. It was one of those relationships that have you go, I don't want that. But they could have been so good for each other. Like, they were like perfect for each other. But world, Anyway, but my mom and her, they're still they're still friends. And she said, me and your aunt, we were just talking about that we think he has it, because we had to take him to the hospital the other week or day or something. And the nurse came in and was like, okay, let's talk about your cancer treatment. And we both were like, he doesn't have cancer. And I guess he never said anything. And I guess the nurse got that they didn't know, and so did not press it. And, that's not his wife, so we can't really discuss that with him, But when they were like, he doesn't have cancer, and she's like, isn't this? And she says his name, and they're like, yes, but he doesn't have cancer. Well, he just had his birthday this month. He's a Pisces. And my mom said she just felt like, even though they were going to a really expensive place to eat, that she needed to go too. She just needed to go. And it wasn't in her budget to do it, because it was like a triple figure plate type of dinner. And so she went. And so I'm sharing this with you because this was another thing that validates my abilities, my gifts of having spiritual discernment and premonition, and at times even prophecy. And I did ask my mom, because it struck me as weird, her reaction to it. I was like, have I ever told you dreams that come true? And she said, all the time. All the time. So y'all, get ready. Things are completed. It's about to change.